Most people don't realize their house is working against them. Not in the obvious ways. The roof isn't caving in, the floors aren't warped, but in the quiet daily friction of a space that was never really designed for the person living in it. There are decisions baked into most homes that will make your life worse every single day, and you won't catch them in the showing, you won't see them in the floor plan, and you'll feel them 6 months after you move in when there's usually nothing you can do about it. Today, we're going through 7 of them. Let's start with bathrooms because I think this one sets the tone for everything else on this list. The trend right now is the vanity as a centerpiece of the bathroom. Big mirror, floating cabinet, beautiful stone top. It photographs incredibly well. And then you move in and realize there's nowhere to put anything. No medicine cabinet, no shelf, no place for your toothbrush, your face wash, your razor, nothing. The counter looks amazing in the listing photos, and then it becomes a cluttered mess within a week because you have to put your stuff somewhere. So what do? You go on Amazon, you buy an over-the-toilet organizer, a countertop caddy, a wall-mounted basket, and now your beautifully designed bathroom looks like a college dorm. You shouldn't have to retrofit a brand new bathroom with third-party storage solutions. That's a design failure, not a you problem. And then there's the toilet paper situation. I've been in bathrooms where getting the toilet paper requires a full Russian twist. It's on the back wall, it's behind you, it's at knee height, everywhere except in front of you where your hand naturally goes. Shower niches are everywhere now, which is great, but nobody's putting a niche on the wall in front of the toilet. That wall is right there. Use it. Now the bathroom thing and what comes next are connected because both of them share the same root problem. The space looks great empty and falls apart the moment real life enters the picture. Rooms that fight furniture are sneaky for exactly that reason. The floor plan looks good. The room has decent proportions, a reasonable size, no obvious red flags, and when you try to put furniture in it, nothing works. The window is centered on the wall where the TV needs to go. The door swings into the only logical spot for the bed. The living room has a fireplace on one wall, a window directly across from it, and now your sofa is floating in the middle of the room facing nothing. These rooms were designed empty, and even when someone did bother laying out a furniture plan, they use scaled down versions that aren't realistic. Tiny sofas, tiny beds, so everything fits perfectly on paper, and then your actual queen bed takes up the entire room. People convince themselves it works in the design stage, and then you're the one dealing with it for the next 15 years. A room that actually functions when furnished usually looks slightly imperfect on a floor plan. That's fine. A room that photographs beautifully empty and fails the moment you put a couch in it is a beautiful problem you have to live with every day. Which brings me to storage. And this one is related because the rooms that fight furniture are often the rooms that also have nowhere to put stuff in it. We're obsessed with open space right now, and honestly, I get it. I enjoy the look. I like how it feels when I'm visiting someone. I like how it photographs, but for my own home, no. I need storage, and I need a lot of it. We've all heard less is more, and sure, that maybe applies to throw pillows, but when it comes to storage, more is actually less. Less clutter, less stress, and honestly, less cortisol being produced in your body every time you walk in through the front door. Because here's what happens when you don't have storage. The stuff doesn't disappear. It never disappears. It just migrates into whatever living space is available. The kitchen counter becomes the pantry, the bedroom floor becomes the linen closet, every surface becomes a landing zone, and eventually, you try to solve it by spending money on third-party cabinetry and freestanding furniture, and now the space feels crowded and you have more surfaces to clean. And it just doesn't work as well as properly designed closets would have. Storage is like water, it's boring. Nobody talks about it, it doesn't show up in the listing photos, but you need it to function. And that's probably where that analogy ends. Speaking of function, kitchens are next, and this one is where lack of thought becomes genuinely stressful to live with. Some kitchen problems are obvious though. Tiny divided sink, a layout where you're staring at a wall while you cook, barely any counter space, those are easy to spot. The one that's less obvious, and the one that I think is the most disruptive, is when the main circulation path of the house runs straight through the kitchen. In a large, generous kitchen, this can work. The kitchen is big enough to absorb the traffic. But in a typical home, when a corridor is centered on the kitchen work zone, the kitchen stops being a kitchen, becomes a hallway that also has appliances in it. People are walking behind you while you're at the stove. The fridge is in a traffic lane. Your workflow gets interrupted constantly, not occasionally, constantly, because that path is how everyone gets from one side of the house to the other. It's stressful. and it's completely avoidable with a little thought at the planning stage. And while we're talking about things that are completely avoidable, outlets, this is almost embarrassing because it's so easy to get right. Building codes set a minimum for outlet spacing. That's all it is. It's a minimum. The least you're legally allowed to do. And a lot of builders treat that minimum like it's the goal. So you end up with outlets placed at regular intervals around the room with zero relationship to the furniture that actually goes there. Nothing near either side of the bed, nothing near the sofa, no thought given to when someone might want to charge a phone, plug in a lamp, or work from the couch. The house is compliant, it is not intelligent. If you know where the bed goes, and you should know this is not a mystery, you know where the outlets on either side need to be. This costs almost nothing at the rough-in stage and costs a lot once the walls are closed in. And yet, here we are, people running extension cords across their bedroom floors in a brand new house. Now we're moving outside. And the next two about the roof, which most people never think about until there's a problem. The overhang. You know, the part of the roof that extends past the wall. It's one of the oldest, most effective pieces of building technology that we have. It keeps rain off of your walls. It shades your window in the summer. It protects your window and door headers from direct water exposure. When you cut it off for a cleaner, more minimal look, your walls take the full force of every single rainstorm. Water hits the wall, runs straight down, gets into the joints, works into your openings, and over time you're looking at a staining, deterioration, and eventually mold from water penetration areas that would never design to handle it in the first place. That is not a cosmetic issue, it's a health issue. Mold, yes, it's bad. Yes, a roof with proper overhangs can look like your house is wearing a hat, but you get used to a hat. You do not get used to expensive repairs and damage that hides inside your walls until it becomes a serious problem. And finally, low slope roofs. I saved this one for last because I'd argue it's the most permanent mistake on this entire list. Low slope roofs look great. Clean lines, modern aesthetic, beautiful in photos, and then it rains and you remember that water needs somewhere to go. A steep roof sheds water quickly. A low slope roof holds onto it. Higher leak risk, worse drainage, shorter lifespan on your roofing material, but the bigger issue is what you lose underneath. When you flatten a roof, you lose your attic, and your attic isn't just storage, it's insulation depth. It's a thermal buffer between you and the outside. The less insulation you have, the higher your utility bill go, the less comfortable your house feels year-round, and the harder your HVAC system has to work, which means more maintenance, more wear, more repair over time, all from a roof decision. And here's the part that really gets me. There's no fix. With most of the problems on this list, you can do something about it after the fact. It's expensive and annoying, but there's a path. With a low slope roof and no attic, you're essentially looking at reframing the entire structure if you want to change it. That's not a renovation, that's a rebuild. So whatever you put up there, you're living with it, probably forever. Who would have thought that one decision about the pitch of a roof could affect your comfort, your energy bills, your maintenance costs, your long-term options all at once? Most of the problems I just walked through have something in common. They're not a result of bad taste or malicious decisions. They're the result of nobody stopping to ask what is actually like to live in the space. Spec homes get built to a budget, designed to a code, and sold based on how they look in photos. And photos don't show you where the outlets are, or what happens when it rains, or what you're supposed to put your towels on. Almost all of those are solvable at a design stage, and most of them cost very little to get right before construction starts. The hard part is knowing to look for them. Hopefully now you do. If any of these are already in your home, drop a number in the comments. And if you're planning or building something, consider this your checklist, or better yet, consider hiring a proper architect.